Hello and welcome to Quarterlight, your car brochure channel. Today's Ford Fridays, so here's the Ford Orion. Welcome back and happy Friday. Yes, it's Ford Friday. Looking at a Ford every Friday. We're a car brochure channel here on YouTube. We look at car brochures 3 times a week, and Fridays is kind of like turned into Ford Friday, where we always look at a Ford. I don't know if that's going to continue forever, but we've certainly been doing it for a few weeks. Today's episode, the Ford Orion, first introduced in 1983 with the code name Apollo. The car that we're looking at today, though, is actually the Mark II. Now, the Mark II came out in March 1986, but it was seen more as a facelift than an actual new Mark. So it actually got the code name Apollo 86. I kind of like similar sort of story with the Escort Mark IV. Wasn't really seen internally as being a new model, more of a facelift, and that was called Erica 86. So the Orion, very much Escort based. A lot of people say, an Escort with a boot. It was quite a clever car when it came out in 1983, really, because the Cortina had been replaced by the Sierra. The Sierra was just a hatchback at the time and was quite a striking design when it first came out. A hard jump from a Cortina to a Sierra. The Orion was really a bit of a safety net, more traditional, a saloon. Wasn't quite that sort of like a curvy shape, so that was something that could fall back on, although the Sierra really did soon take off. Anyway, I'm waffling. Let's have a look at today's brochure for the Ford Orion. Okay, so here we go inside this February 1988 Ford car brochure. This will be, as you can see by the gear badge, the Ford Orion Gear. Well, this would have actually been the Ford Orion Gear injection. Think kind of like an Escort XR3i, but the Orion was seen as a bit of a more upmarket car than the Escort, so they didn't use any sort of XR3i terms. They just called it the Gear injection. The difference was your Gear injection Orion did come with alloy wheels, just to see it as well. Ford trying to promote it as like a one up in the range, although it effectively really was just a Escort with a boot, wasn't it? But anyway, let's open the brochure up and see some of the models. So, unlike the Escort, no Popular, we're straight up to an Orion L, nothing lower than an Orion L at this time, and then the Orion LX. So not quite as many different variations at this time than what the Escort range was, but let's have a look at some of these images. First of all, starting off with the Orion L. So here is the Orion L, and similar to the Escort Popular, the Orion L, this is the only image and the only little write-up about the L. It moves straight to the LX for the entire rest of the page, but it says here, classical 4-door saloon styling, advanced engineering and a spacious, well-equipped interior make the Ford Orion L a car with a touch of class. Features now include a 5-speed gearbox, aerial incorporated in rear windscreen, and a little bit of an image of that. L, yeah, we've got wheel covers, full wheel covers on the L. Yeah, we've got a rubbing strip, so not too badly equipped, certainly better equipped than your Escort Popular for sure. Although if you moved up to the LX, you did get some nice features, including that nice sunroof that it's showing there. Always thought the LX was interested in that these sorts of like red strips always used to indicate like a sporty model for Ford, and then they introduced the LXs and started using that red on the LX model, and then when you went up to the GL you went to chrome. I say chrome, more of a bright insert, I guess is a better term for it. But anyway, let's move down and see some of the equipment that we actually get on the LX. So the LX, powered by either a 1.4 lean burn engine or its 1.6 counterpart, both of which have a standard 5-speed gearbox. The Orion LX provides a combination of performance, economy and luxury. And then it's kind of like moves on to start talking about body side mouldings with that red insert and grey paint treatment below the body side moulding, tinted glass, remote control door mirrors, heated rear window, tilt or slide sunroof. We've got an interior helix cloth trimmed seats, self-seek FM cassette, and options such as mechanically controlled ABS. And then we get this little tiny little shot here of just about see the rear of the car. And like I say, all the images on here are from the LX. They kind of like the base L is kind of like forgotten about. You know, showing this sunroof and the well, it's showing the heated rear window, but I think it's trying to really say, and as it says here, the radio aerial for the Orion LX is incorporated into that rear window heating element, tinted glass standard. And then we get a little image of that interior. Very familiar, isn't it, when you compare it to the Escort, of course. And the LX's interior with those clearly visible wind down front windows. So the Orion GL now, so let's have a look at some of the write-up, see what features it has, and then we'll look at some of these images. So tinted glass and a sunroof are features typical of the Orion GL, although as we've seen that was on the LX as well. A very refined saloon with class leading blend of performance, space, comfort and convenience. A choice of a 1.4 and a 1.6 lean burn petrol, or Ford's 1.6 litre diesel, or with a 5-speed gearbox. Body side mouldings, this time that bright insert, tinted glass, tilt and slide glass sunroof, central locking, I think is probably the feature that's been added now. Front seats with padded fully adjustable head restraints, tachometer, quartz digital clock. Rear seat backs, split fold 60/40, glove box with lid and illumination, center console with coin slots and cassette storage, vanity mirror on passenger sun visor, that self-seek cassette player, and options this time we've got a heated front windscreen and that ABS. Here is the main image of the GL. Yes, we've got this sort of bright inserts on the bumpers now to designate, well, it used to designate, you know, a more luxury vehicle rather than a more sporty vehicle, although like I said, the LX wasn't really sporty, was it? But there we go. And it's featured in this metallic silver, which of course a metallic was an extra cost for, you know, most cars at the time. Look in the interior, and the dash with that rev counter, although like I say the LX had that as well. Look at that cassette player, again the same as the LX, and the sunroof. It is showing one different picture on this one though, this split rear seat, so you can put longer loads into the boot. And then you get the car you aspire to have, your Orion Gear, again showing those bright inserts, denoting it's more of a luxury version. Of course we're going to get things like electric windows, I would assume, but let's have a look at some of the text. Okay, the Orion Gear, powered by a choice of smooth, responsive lean burn engines, Ford's stylish Orion Gear delights the driver and passenger, and its strong performance and value for money. So we've got the 1.4 and the 1.6 lean burn engines as before. Kind of unusually, there isn't just an option for the 1.6 injection, it's another a model after this, which I always thought was a little bit unusual, although they tried to, say the injection model was the more sporty version. Like I say, kind of like equal to like an XR3 without all the fancy sporty add-ons, I guess. We've got steel wheel covers. Yes, unfortunately no alloy wheel for the Gear, which I always thought was a bit unusual. You kind of like associate a Gear with wanting alloy wheels, but no. Tachometer, central locking by key with built-in torch, electrically heated and operated door mirrors, tinted glass, electrically operated front windows, front and rear seats equipped with padded fully adjustable head restraints, cut pile carpet, quartz digital clock, center console, 60/40 split, a rear armrest, that sunroof, the six speaker I should say, sound system, and then options on this one, we've got a heated front windscreen and the ABS. Okay, so here we have it. Clearly see the electric windows that we've got now. We've got this sort of like this built-in like cassette where you can store your cassettes in there, but nothing out of the ordinary really. Look on the outside, they definitely look nicer on the outside, I always thought, the Gear, although like I say, they would look nicer with an alloy wheel on there. A look at those power windows, and the interior looks a nicer seat for sure. And now we've got this sort of center armrests and head restraints all round. And then this Gear injection, kind of like I always thought this is a model, a very strange model in my view. Yeah, it was the top of the range model, it was the model you wanted really, but unusual to see the Gear badging with the red insert, so it's almost like it doesn't quite know what it wants to be. Is this the luxury model? Is it the sporty model? Well, it was certainly the sporty model, although they didn't give it any sort of XR badging, they just called it the Gear, which I always thought was a little bit peculiar. But anyway, let's have a look at some of the features. Okay, so the Orion Gear injection, prestigious and potent. The Orion Gear injection gets its mile-eating performance from Ford's widely acclaimed 1.6 injection engine. Tested by Ford engineers, the luxurious sports saloon sprinted from 0 to 60 in 9.3 seconds and went on to reach 115. So quite unusually, this 1.6 engine in the Orion, yeah, the top speed is the same as the XR3i, but interestingly 0 to 60 is slightly faster. This is doing it in 9.3, the XR3i I think was 9.5. I'm not really sure what that difference was, to be honest. Anyway, so we've got that 1.6 fuel injection engine. Now we've got standard alloy wheels. Remember, the XR3i didn't have standard alloy wheels. It was an extra £250 for alloy wheels on your XR3. Exhilarating performance, optimized by the 5-speed gearbox. Uprated brakes and suspension, sports steering wheel, tinted glass and electrically operated front windows, fuel computer, electrically operated heated door mirrors, tilt or slide screened glass sunroof, padded fully adjustable head restraints, electronic sound system, 6 speakers, and options include that heated front windscreen and the ABS. So yeah, it was a little bit of an unusual model. It was the Orion equivalent of an XR3i, but the Orion was seen as a more upmarket car, and it was also seen as a more conservative car. I think that's why it didn't get sort of XR badging on it. Anyway, let's have a look at some of the images. We can clearly see those electric windows. Here we can see that sound system. Looks like an amplifier we've got now at the bottom there. And the seats of the Gear injection look very nice. Similar sort of thing as the Gear with the, the center armrest. And that engine with this sort of red sporty wires in there. It says on here, discrete badges reveal the Orion Gear's injection's identity. So it's 1.6 engine. So really, like I say, it's saying they're discrete, and I think maybe that was the idea of the Orion. It was a more discrete, sporty car. Okay, and then we get to the technical specifications. Yeah, that is the full range. So we can have a look at the non-injected engines, the 1.3, 1.4 and 1.6. Not going to go through all this though, there isn't enough time, but you can pause the screen at any time. And then we've got that 1.6 injection as well as that 1.6 diesel. There is also a nice little table showing all those figures. Slowest one is that diesel, the 9.1, and a 0 to 60 of 16.8. Quickest one, of course, is that Gear injection, 115 miles an hour and a 0 to 60 of 9.3. Fuel economy, way better in your diesel, although, that 1.4 is a pretty efficient engine as well. And then you've got your maximum towing weights, maximum roof rack load, etc, and your curb weights, as well as the insurance groupings at the time as well. Now as we go down, we then sort of get to sort of the features on the various models, the L, LX, GL gear, and that top of the range gear injection. And then the exterior specifications. The top there, it's kind of like showing the features that are on all models, like impact resisting bumpers, etc, and a horn. Don't know why it shows all that, but anyway. And then as we go down, we can see the standard equipment is in the black there of each model. Of course, you can pause that screen if you need to. On the opposite page, some of the interior specifications, and of course that's all the equipment that's on every model that's written out at the top there, before we go to what it refers to as the additional features, what's available on each particular one. Trying to make it, because the Orion is a smaller version, there isn't as many different specifications, so I'm trying to make it so you can read it all in one shot, and that is all those features in one shot on that particular page. So you can pause that screen if you do want to look at it in any detail to compare the different versions. And then on the next page, it kind of like just finishes off those additional interior features. Then your colour choice, depending on what trim level you got, depending on what kind of seat you had, so the different variations of which colour and which interior that you actually got. I wonder which colour you would have chose. I always remember around about this time it seemed to be grey that everyone wanted. Mercury grey seemed to be the colour of the time, although I think I would have stayed away from that. Personally, I prefer a much brighter colour. And then the price guide, much easier to see on this particular model. We've been less different variations, but the base L, £7,357. That top of the range 1.6 FI gear injection, £9,782. Yeah, it's more expensive than your Escort XR3i, although alloy wheels are thrown in, and remember they were an extra £250. If you wanted ABS on that top of the range model, it did raise it above £10,000. Okay, and then we get to the options guide. You know, what extras could you have? And it wasn't that large, really. I mean, that's pretty much the main options you could have. The main thing, of course, £375 for your ABS. That automatic transmission is going to be a big buy, really. £600, available only on your L, your GL, and your standard gear. Also, this one's interesting, I think. If you did want that tilt and slide sunroof on your Orion L, you had to pay an extra £390. So I think if you really wanted a sunroof, you was probably better just moving up to an LX. And then at the bottom, these sort of extra cover, pretty expensive really, these optional warranties. Okay, so that comes to the end of today's episode of your Ford Friday and Quarter Lights. Please do jot down any memories you have got for the Orion. I'm sure many of you have. It was a very popular car. But for now, say have a great weekend. Please do like and subscribe. We'll see you very soon. Take care and goodbye.